So we just recorded something, and can you tell us what it was?
I'm not sure I know how to describe it. You wanted to talk about chalkboards. Yes, you did. That's not an exaggeration or like me trying to be funny. You actually said you should do a whole podcast talking about chalkboards.
Mm-hmm.
And you were serious.
Yes.
And then the topic drifted to my experience attending school in the 90s.
Yeah. And this was recorded for our new podcast on the Yamamba tier, which is called...
Well, I think saying our new... it's more like you've decided this. I had no control over it.
Saturday night.
Yeah, all those people who are like, oh, it keeps drifting off and they don't stay on topic. Now there is no topic. So... God...
And I thought this was really something, so I decided to share the interesting part with you.
Oh, she's dead. Well, unfortunately, Sin has died. Possibly from inhaling chalk. So, that's the end of this baffling episode of a podcast I feel the need to apologize for.
I'm back.
But you're back.
It's connected.
Yeah. Well, don't listen to anything that I said into the mic when you were gone.
What was the last thing I said about chalkboards?
Well, I sort of wish there was a camera on me because when I said, why are we talking about chalkboards, I would have written down on a piece of paper, it will be something to do with food. And then I could have held it up.
Okay, Richie, but where did I stop? I was telling you my chalkboard.
You were telling me that there was a cafe with a really nice chalkboard, and you sent me a photo of it.
And then?
I clicked it, and then you disappeared.
Okay, so I actually was talking quite a bit. So what I said after you clicked it is that it's been a dream of mine to have a chalkboard.
Well, follow your dreams. I think this one's attainable.
But there's a problem, Richie. Do you know what the problem is?
Not enough people donate at patreon.com/SinclairLore for you to afford a chalkboard.
I can't write fancy like they do in those chalkboards and those cafes.
Yeah, the fish and chip shop here has very elaborate chalkboard art. But it's gone from owner to owner to owner, and they keep changing the menu, so bits of it have been rubbed off and kind of slightly drawn back in again, but in a different style. Kind of like that really badly restored fresco of Christ.
Oh, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. But actually, I was Googling the chalkboard problem.
Mm-hmm.
When I was doing research for this podcast.
I like how you say the chalkboard problem like it's this well-known, like, philosophical discussion. There's people who've dedicated their entire, like, academic careers to addressing the chalkboard problem.
And I found out that you can get chalkboards with, like, art pre-written on them. Like, you can order that.
Right.
Like, you can commission a fancy chalkboard.
Yep.
That's amazing!
So we've recorded a podcast about how you want to order a chalkboard.
Yeah. We're not done yet, though. But yeah, as I was saying, I was doing chalkboard research. I stumbled upon a video called Chalk and Chalkboards from 1959. And it was really, really awesome. It was very Fallout. It was like literally if somebody took Fallout and put it in real life.
Yeah.
It was just aesthetically, and it had that music and that voice, like, hey, chalkboard, you know? And it was actually an informational video of like the uses of chalkboards in like a school.
Yeah. Why are we talking about chalk?
Because I want to buy a chalkboard.
Why is that? Why is it a podcast that you want to buy a chalkboard?
Well, why can't I talk about things I like, Richie? You talk about things you like. We have, like, what, 1,000 episodes on Bloodborne now, so let me have one episode that's mine. How about that?
All right.
Okay. And yeah, so in the video, like they were saying a lot of things and I learned a lot.
Mhm.
So the narrator was saying that for years the best chalkboard has been slate, wood pulp, and cement asbestos.
Uh-oh.
I know, right? My heart stopped. I was like, ooh, girl.
While smoking harmless tobacco.
It's okay because he went to say a warning. He was like, be wary of novelty boards.
Mm-hmm.
Asbestos is chill, but those novelty boards, y'all. And apparently, I guess it's intuitive, but if you use cheap chalk, you can damage your chalkboard. So, like, don't use cheap chalk. Maybe that's why you don't like it, because your chalk that you were using was cheap and it was like
Well,
sprayed.
probably. Like, the Australian public school system's not terribly, like, well-funded. So it probably was shitty chalk. But again, like, we mostly used whiteboards.
Was the board made with cement asbestos?
No, we didn't. We had like, our classrooms had wheels.
Your what? What? Your classrooms had wheels?
Yeah, they were portable classrooms. They would, like,
Was your school the cube?
no, the school I went to, like, some of the buildings were permanent, but most of the classrooms, they were portable classrooms. They were like, you would drive them and just park them as rooms. They were like towed there.
Like a school trailer park?
Kinda, like, if they weren't, like, they were little self-contained units that were like half, like, they were sort of like, I think they're about 2 lanes wide. Like, if you imagine that. And they would just be driven to this, like, as temporary classrooms, but because the school I went to, like, it was being, like, rebuilt while I was there.
Mm-hmm.
So for the, like, 6 years I was there, we had the portable ones, and, like, it's permanent now if you go, like, and check it out. But when I was there, it was all portable classrooms.
Could you ride in the classroom while it's being moved around?
No, they were, like, secured to the ground, but, like, you could tow them if you, like, unsecured them. Like, they had, like, water, and, like, they were connected to the water and the electricity and everything. You couldn't just, like, tow them, but if you disconnected them, yeah, you could.
That is amazing. So if you wanted to, like a troublemaker could steal a class.
In theory, if they were like a Batman villain,
Yeah.
but I don't think it would be super feasible for just, like, some brat kid to do it.
Oh my god. That's amazing.
Is it?
My mind is really being blown right now.
All right. I'm glad we learned something.
Yeah, you see, this was a very important podcast. I don't even know what I was going to say. Wow.
Well, I'm sure, like, some of the people who've made it this far also had portable classrooms. Yeah, at the school I was at, it was a very old school, but most of the permanent buildings had been demolished.
Hmm.
So, like, some of them were still there, but most of them were these portable rooms. So, like, every classroom was identical. It was the same design.
Hmm.
Yeah. Remember I mentioned, like, the wet room on one of the streams, and everyone was like, that sounds horrifying? Yeah, every classroom had a wet room.
What was that for again?
It was just a room that was, like, waterproofed, and it had a sink in it. But because they all had the same design, like, every classroom had a wet room, so it became the place you had to go if you were, like, misbehaving. Like, oh, if you keep misbehaving, we'll send you to the wet room. And there would be, like, kids would get in trouble and they'd be sent to the wet room, and then they'd just, like, come out of the wet room 15 minutes later in tears because they'd been trapped in this, like, horrible room that was just, like, yellow vinyl floors and walls and a sink and nothing else.
Is that legal?
What it was this disciplinary system, right? If you misbehaved once, you got your name written on the board. If you misbehaved after that, they drew a tick next to your name,
Uh-huh.
which was like, okay, your last warning is the tick. And then if you got 2 ticks, you had to go to the wet room.
What the?
Yeah, it very rarely happened because people were so frightened of the wet room that they wouldn't be sent there. So once you got, yeah, because like I got my name on the board for talking a couple of times. I'm like, oh shit, better shut the fuck up right now.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Do you think the YouTube strike system could learn from this? 3 strikes and we sent.
the wet room.
I gotta make a quick phone call. Sorry, I'll be right back.
Okay. I'm just looking up pictures of portable classrooms to send to Sin. This one's behind a paywall, unfortunately. And I'm currently in Canehurst. Because Sin and I are going to stream the Chalice Dungeons, and I want to farm some blood chunks before I do that.
Hello?
Hi. Check Discord. I sent you a picture of a portable classroom.
You know, I imagined it a lot fancier than this.
Oh, you imagined it would have complete windows instead of some, like, wooden boards stuck in front of them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like something out of Fallout after the apocalypse.
Yeah, so my school was just like about 2 dozen of those in a triangle.
Were you trying to summon the devil?
No, it was on a triangular block. So the school was called Pleasant Street State School, but it was like the triangle. And the school's logo was a triangle, and we were meant to like if there was like an inter-school sporting event, we were meant to chant like, "We are the kids from the big triangle." And it's like, no.
Jesus. So each one had a wet room, or was the wet room a separate thing?
No, they were all the same like modular design. So they all they had a wet room. They all were exactly the same layout.
Oh, Jesus. This is giving me anxiety, Rich, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
Well, I'm very proud of you for overcoming your fear of a wet room and getting a PhD.
Thank you.
I'm gonna close Discord now. Oh my god. It's a lot to think about.
Is the plan behind this that if you bring up just any random topic, I will find some way to like salvage it?
No, in my head,
very strange ways, and you'll just get content out of that.
No, Richie, in my head, we were going to talk about chalkboards, and I was going to tell you how I didn't like them, and then now I like them because, like, I saw a cute one.
Okay, hang on, when didn't you like them? Because you didn't mention that part.
I told you, because in school, like, when you think of a chalkboard...
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, and then it's like, oh, but now they're cool, and I want one, and like, oh, and I saw this cool Fallout-like movie, and it was supposed to be like this fun little podcast that would talk about and chill, but now I need to go see a professional because now I know about the wet room.
Do you want to know something else about the wet room?
Oh God, what?
When I was, would have been like 9 or 10. It was like a class project which was we were going to grow mushrooms. So we got given like, I don't know if you've ever grown mushrooms, but they just give you like a ton of earth and some spores to put in the earth.
Okay.
And the only place we could do that safely was the wet room. So the wet room had in it just this like vat of like slowly growing mushrooms. It's like something from Bergenworth. So if you were badly behaved, not only were you trapped in the wet room, but you were trapped with this like ever-growing pile of fungus.
That sounds a lot like The Last of Us.
Yeah.
I feel like we need to do a documentary on the wet room and like interview people you went to high school with to see like where they are.
One of them is in prison.
Oh, Jesus!